China, July 2005. World champion Danny Wei is preparing for a unique event. He wants to be the first person to jump the Great Wall of China on a skateboard. If he can do it, he could break 3 world records in the process. That's if he can survive the practice. Welcome to China and welcome to Beijing, host city for the 2008 Summer Olympic Games, and to one of the wonders of the world, the Great Wall of China. But today I'm not here as your historian or tourist guide. We're here to break world records, 3 of them to be precise, and on a skateboard. This is the Chinese skateaway.
This is the largest ramp ever constructed in the world.
The process started 7 months earlier on a planning trip to Beijing.
I think I'm just hoping to find a nice area where I can build a takeoff and a landing ramp and not have any big obstacles in the way. I mean, the wall is one obstacle, but hopefully there's nothing else in the vicinity of the area that these guys propose I jump the wall. You're gonna accept that. All right, we're gonna jump the wall right there. It's done. Get out of here.
Danny has brought his well-travelled and familiar jump team, including friend JT of VP Industries, who will be responsible for the build. It's up to Danny and JT to choose the most spectacular, but also the safest place for the jump.
The wall, in some spots, is a little less. I guess it's just not as big as I envisioned in some spots, so I'm trying to find an area that I feel would be something that I would consider, I'd feel good about. I wouldn't want to cheat on this one, so I'm trying to find some section we're trying to find a section here that would actually be a legitimate jump for me. There's definitely spots of the wall that are enormous, but there's some that aren't, and I just have the motive, I wouldn't feel right unless I found a spot that was really magnificent. Sorry, it's freezing out. I can barely talk. So I think right here, jumping from there over here, is the widest spot of the wall, which I feel does the most justice for skateboarding and the possibility of breaking a world record. So.
What do you think of Danny doing this, now that you've seen it?
I don't know.
Some concerns that popped into your head? You're thinking, well, it's the Great Wall, I mean.
Not until he told me that a mountain biker died. That was the first time.
Tragically, in October 2002, Wang Xiaozhong died while attempting to jump the Great Wall on a mountain bike.
Okay,
Mr. Wang said, on that day or before that,
yeah.
When you are building the ramp, you can build wherever you want on the square.
Okay.
It's yours.
After several false starts, the team has finally got the go-ahead from their Chinese hosts. Now the build can start.
I think it's going to be spectacular.
And Danny Wei knows all about the spectacular. As with his previous record attempt jumps, Danny will go back to the California desert, where he builds and rehearses on identical ramps. But the hot, dry air of the desert is very different from the humid atmosphere of Beijing, as Danny was about to find out to his cost. Now the ramp is split into 2 sections, the first part being the takeoff area, which has a 60-degree steepness to it. It means that Danny will accelerate from 0 to 55 miles per hour quicker than a Porsche Turbo. He then hits the kicker and flies over what is called the open zone. On landing on the second part of the structure, he's looking to put that skateboard in an area which he calls the sweet spot. He will then land, accelerate once again, and look to break yet another world record by flying the highest any other skateboarder has ever flown out of the halfpipe, in excess of 25 feet into the air, and then landing back into the halfpipe. The crowd will be going crazy, and Danny Way from California will have broken 3 world records in just one jump over the Great Wall of China. 7 months, 14,000 nails and 60,000 screws later, it's the day before the event, and Danny gets the first and only chance to practice his dramatic jump. The Great Wall plays majestic host to this extraordinary stunt, which is going to be watched by an estimated Chinese television audience of 32 million people. Final checks complete, it's time for Danny's practice jump. The initial impression isn't good. Danny has landed heavily on the platform before the down ramp and then fallen into the halfpipe. His team are quickly on the scene, with his doctor immediately trying to reduce any swelling. Any serious injury at this point will almost certainly put an end to this $1.5 million record attempt. Despite the possibility of a career-affecting injury, the only one who really seems concerned is Danny's wife, Carrie.
About the size of rolling and drop, and I think so. I mean, he's just doing the post-match analysis. He wants to go again. He wants to go again. He wants more speed off the top. They're going to build him some more rolling, and he's going to go again. So that's the prognosis.
Danny and his team are convinced that the injury to his ankle can be treated with an anti-inflammatory injection of cortisone, and that with a night's rest he should be able to jump tomorrow. Danny's wife, however, doesn't seem so sure. During his career, Danny has broken both wrists, shattered an elbow, separated a shoulder and broken his ribs. He's also had 3 ligament surgeries on his knee, but with an event tomorrow which has cost so much money to stage, there doesn't seem to be a plan B.
Your ankle's jacked for real, big time, right? That's what I said. I knew when you hit it, I was like, son, if you do yourself like this, you're
I'm gonna get some cortisone shot. I came here to make it over the wall and roll away. Yeah. That's all I care about. Like everything else is icing on the cake, you know what I mean? If I can just shoot the wall and make it.
So go by the hospital, and I'm going to get the cortisone and we're going to give the injection at the hospital, and then we're going to go back to the hotel, and we're going to implement all the measures that we would, elevate, massage, ice, and then we'll see what we can do tomorrow morning. Good.
This is what it takes to make it happen. This is what it takes.
But I need to have the doctor. I speak to the doctor. I'm a doctor from America. Should be an American.
They're cleaning up his arm, and then they're going to be giving him some cortisol in the ankle to reduce swelling, and then he should be good to go home and get some rest and do it all again tomorrow.
There's no reason.
Looks like just a real bad sprain, and hopefully we'll be able to get a good injection done and get him back on the ramp tomorrow.
Anti-pumps.
Doesn't look like there's a fracture at this point.
What I've learned about the injury is that the injury is going to have to go on hold for 24 hours, and I'll address it later. I'm going to have to get some temporary fix, which is cortisone. I've never had a cortisone shot in my life. Believe it or not, I have not had one ever. And the situation gives me no other option but I need to conquer what I set out to do, and that's jump the wall, and I will jump the wall tomorrow.
This is the Zhu-Yongguan Gateway to Beijing. Thousands of years of history all around me. But today is about the Chinese government embracing youth culture. They've invited the world skateboarding champion Danny Wei to perform an amazing stunt, to fly on his skateboard over the Great Wall of China. It's been 7 months in preparation in China alone, and Danny aims to travel the fastest, fly the furthest, and climb the highest of any skater in history. Unfortunately, yesterday in practice, it all went a bit wrong. It seems the humid air of the Beijing summer is causing Danny to fly slower than in his practice jumps in the dry conditions of the high Californian desert. In hospital, with a possibly sprained ankle and severe friction burns to his forearm, the prospect for a jump today looked slim.
Here we are, the day of the event. We had a little practice malfunction yesterday, trying to get the ramp adjusted correctly and trying to figure out the physics of it. Little miscalculation. Could have cost me a lot more bodily harm than it did. I took a pretty good blow to my ankle. Pretty lucky I'm standing on it right now. I mean, obviously, you know, I've put a lot of energy and time into making this happen, and an ankle injury is not going to take me out at this point. So today I feel is going to be a big success, and we're going to get it done. You know, I'm confident, and it'll be painful, and but at the same time, everything else is working. My brain's in one piece. My heart's beating. It's going to be beating really hard pretty soon, actually. The only weak link is my ankle, and I feel like I've done as much as I could do to get it in a position that it would even allow me to walk on it today, let alone try this. You know. It doesn't know yet what's up ahead, but it's gonna definitely get a little. I think it's gonna be a little upset as soon as it finds out.
Jason, you know him better than anybody. Is he going to break these records, and will he jump the wall of China?
Yeah, he will. I'm not even nervous for him. His wife is incredibly nervous. I've never seen her like that before, but I am not nervous at all. Yeah, I will be right when he jumps it, just because it's a dangerous thing to do. But 100% he'll make it. He's Danny Wei. Like nobody, you guys don't know, but I do. You know what I mean? It's been 10 years he's been owning this game, and he owns it for a reason. You know what I mean? He's the dude that gets to pay the big bucks for a reason. He doesn't. Everyone thinks I would love to do this. Other pro skateboarders are like, I would love to do this. Give me an opportunity to shine on this, and then put them up on that roll in, and they'll give it all back to you. They don't want it. You won't want it when you go up there. It's a nightmare. Like, I would hate to be in his shoes last night, sleeping in his hotel room, knowing that I'm going to go down this jump. It's a lot of glory, but man, what a stress.
The jump is not just significant for Danny. The eyes of China's growing youth culture are upon him. If he achieves the records, it might just improve the image of skateboarding in a country which still maintains a very strong link with its ancient sporting disciplines. It's a long way from Danny's extensive training facility in California, but this is the only skateboard park in Beijing.
Jump the Great Wall is very important for the action sports in China. You know, before then we come here, few people know skateboarding. Many parents think skateboarding is just a game for the bad boy. They smoking, they skateboarding, they drinking. But then we come here, do the jump. Everybody knows skateboarding, and maybe the parents will think, maybe my child can skateboarding.
Skateboarding is slowly filtering into the public consciousness in China, but there's one thing the government could do to really seal its future.
today is very interesting for Chinese extreme fans. I think we will do my best to push the promotion this event to into the Olympic Games.
Single-handedly bringing skateboarding into the Olympics would be an incredible achievement, but might not seem such a challenge given the life of the man who has become a legend in the skateboarding world.
Danny has had a skateboard in hand since he's been 2, and he continued to skate, and when he was 14 they turned him pro. So as a single mom raising him, I've had to get strong and support him 100% in what he's doing, and it's not easy for a mom to do that, but I knew Danny would make it.
With his heavily strapped ankle, Danny is going to warm up by riding the half-pipe on the landing side of the wall. He's hoping that if he can do this, he should be able to take on the record-breaking jump. In public, the practice sessions seem to be going well, but behind the scenes, Danny's ankle injury might be proving more of a problem than he's prepared to admit. To take on a jump of this size with a serious ankle injury could have potentially lethal consequences. Despite the structural adjustments to the ramp, Danny's first jump doesn't quite make the distance, and he hasn't landed on his board, which is crucial if he wants to break the records. More worryingly, it looks as if the ankle might not be as strong as he had hoped. Still, with 32 million people watching, Danny Way is not about to back down. With his second jump, Danny Way becomes the first person ever to jump the Great Wall of China on a skateboard. He also breaks his own distance world record.
I feel a lot better than I did about a minute and a half ago. So I'm pretty excited. That felt really good. I thought it might, take a little bit more to make it, but that one felt right, so I just said this is the one, we're gonna get it,
Some people might be satisfied with 2 new world records, but Danny is still determined to try and set a third record for height out of the quarter pipe. With his confidence growing, he's even prepared to pull a 360 over the wall, much to the delight of the crowd. Despite Danny's showboating for the crowd, the huge strain is beginning to take its toll on his ankle. But he's not done yet. He can't quite make his last record, as he currently has to contend with a strong wind factor, which keeps catching him and forcing him to abandon his descent with the board. Finally, after landing heavily on jump number 5, Danny has to quit, with just 2 new world records.
Danny, I've been in Beijing for 48 hours and I feel like I've been here for 48 weeks. The tension, the pressure, the atmosphere, it's all been an amazing 48 hours. I want to take you back to where it all started for most people, was that first dress rehearsal 24 hours ago when many of us were thinking it was all over.
You weren't the only one that was thinking that, but you know, I put myself in that situation before. You know, I've had the weight of the world on my back before and have been injured, you know, right before I was supposed to perform. And you know, I feel like the mind is very powerful, and you know, I think depending on how serious the circumstance is, you know, there are some things you can't come back from, but this circumstance was pretty serious. But you know, thanks to Dr. Brian Weeks and you know, the hospital we went to last night, I got, you know, what I needed to get my ankle in a place I felt would have the strength to be able to deliver today. I didn't really know how it was going to feel until I actually started rolling around on the ramp. I just basically had the mind over matter attitude, and I just put my confidence out there regardless of where my ankle was at.
After the warm-up, you had that long, which to me seemed to take an eternity, walk up those stairs, and then you got to the top. 24 hours before, you'd nearly killed yourself, let's be fair. And then what's going through an athlete's mind when you've got to do it again and you're committed?
I mean, I've come so far to make this happen, and you know, to me, there's no other option but to continue. After yesterday, as much confidence as I did, you know, I do have, I definitely was scared today when I walked up those stairs, you know. New skateboard, an ankle that's about the size of a balloon right now. I didn't know what was gonna happen, except I knew that I had to make it happen. The skateboard is so much my home that it's weird. Once I put, you know, my feet on my skateboard, it's like it flips the switch in my brain and autopilot takes over. And I swear, I don't know what it is, but I feel like all these things release once I you know, touch foot to the grip tape on the board. I don't know what it is, but it's been like that forever. I've had other injuries that, you know, I could barely walk, but I could roll on my skateboard.
It's been a fantastic finale to an amazing 24 hours here in Beijing, with Danny Wei breaking the world record, flying high over the Great Wall of China. But the real winner here is the sport of skateboarding, and particularly the sport of skateboarding in China. This park in the center of town will probably be brand new this time next year, and one thing is for sure, skateboarding is now part of the Chinese national culture.
Next tonight, the World Superbikes hit Germany for round 10. Not too hard, let's hope.